This is Chase from ShotScience.com, and today we're going to be talking about how to break ankles with a killer crossover move. The crossover move, when performed correctly, is an effective move to allow the opposite player to get by the defender. Many professional athletes have great crossovers, such as Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade. All of these players use the crossover move to allow them to get by their defender and into the lane where they can score or set up a teammate for a shot. In order to set up the crossover, it's important to come full speed at the defender. By coming full speed and looking right in the defender's eyes, you're going to create a fear in that defender that you're going to get by them. So they're going to be put on their heels. Once they're on their heels, they're off balance, they're less likely to reach for the ball when we come in that crossover. So you probably all have heard about somebody getting their cookies taken in basketball. That's what happens when you cross over and the defender taps the ball and goes around you for a layup on the other end. So putting the defender on their heels allows you to not have that happen. Now in order to set up the crossover, we want to lean slightly to the side opposite of where we're going to cross. So if we're going to do a right to left crossover, we want to start to lean right as we come up to the defender, cross back hard to the left, and then make a hard explosive move out of there. Now it's important to have that slight lean just to set the defender up to put their momentum just slightly to that side. Then we can cross back over and create space there. Once we cross, we want to make sure the ball's below the knee first and then step right by the defender. We want to make sure we brush hips with the defender and not make too wide of a move. It's really important to make sure that we step directly to the basket. We want to rub our hip to the defender's hip so we can seal them and get to the rim without having the defender have the chance to get back in front of us. If we move too wide with the crossover, the defender can take one step and get back in front, and we've gained nothing from the move. Now when we're performing the crossover, it's important to know hand position on the ball. When we have our hand on the ball, we want to make sure that it doesn't slip down below the level plane. So if the hand's on the bottom part of the ball, it's going to be called a palming or a carrying by the ref. So when we make that crossover, it's important to take the ball out to the side and push it back in the other direction while keeping the hand at least level with the side of the ball. Once we dip below, then it's going to be a carry. So we want to keep at least level when we make that crossover back to the other direction. The last important thing to remember about the crossover is where the ball goes after we make that cross. So we want to make sure when we make a hard cross and put the defender on their heels that we're not bringing the ball backwards. When we cross, we want to cross and step directly at the basket, make a hard explosive move out of there. We want to make sure that we change speeds and really push that dribble out so we can create space. So when we cross, we want to cross low and towards the basket with a big, strong dribble pushed out in front of us so that we can get to the rim in one dribble. So remember, when performing the crossover, we want to go full speed. We want to have eyes directly at the defenders. Number 3, we want to have a low crossover. 4, make sure we set them up with a slight lean opposite. 5, we want to seal that defender. Once we make the crossover, we want to go hip to hip. And lastly, we want a big, strong dribble out of that crossover to create space. So that's how you perform a crossover. Thanks for tuning in to ShotScience.com. And don't forget, comment, rate, and subscribe. And break them ankles!
Subscribe to hold on. Now we got the dads.